Well, it does look like everyone's here that is expected to be here. So thanks everyone for joining us. We have Chief West, Chief Jennings, and Captain Collins here tonight. And tonight's focus is on public safety, obviously with the discussion and presentations from our fire chief and from I believe our police captain will give the police department's presentation, but Chief Jennings is obviously here with Captain Collins to answer any questions. Why don't we quickly go around the room? Hold on, Pedro. Yeah.
Looks like someone's still trying to connect to audio. One of the candidates. Oh, he may be getting on now. It's still saying connecting to audio. I don't know if you want to wait or continue. Oh, there you go. Looks like he's on.
Perfect. Good. So good. Everyone's able to join us. Perfect. So let's go around and Pedro, why don't we start with you and just do quick introductions. You've all met Pedro before in the first meeting, and you met Chief West and Chief Jennings, and I think Captain Collins was the one at our very first orientation. So why don't we go around just again do very quick introduction so we can get to the presentations and most importantly get to your questions. Pedro.
Yeah, hello everyone. Pedro Jimenez, Assistant City Manager.
We'll just go with staff first.
Hi, I am Jeff Jennings. I'm the police chief at Emeryville.
I am Oliver Collins, police captain.
You're on mute. You're on mute, Chief.
Right. Sorry about that. Good evening, everyone. Randall West, chief with the fire department, Alameda County Fire Department. Thank you.
Council candidates.
Hi, I'm Supdeep Kaur, one of the candidates.
Hi, Brooke Westling, also one of the candidates.
Hi, I'm one of the candidates and 33-year-long resident of Emeryville, as well as architect, writer, and athlete.
They're probably for its candidate.
Great. So this is our third meeting with you all. And again, I appreciate you taking the time to join us and hear what we have to say about the various departments, about how the city operates, how we're organized, and the services that we provide to our community. And our intent here obviously is to help give you information. So when you're out in the community, you have information to share from what you're hearing from us. And then obviously one of the things that I said at the very beginning, as you're hearing from the community, please share that with us. And I prefer that in writing, if you don't mind. Again, it can be bullet points, whatever, but getting feedback from you all as you're doing coffees and meeting virtually, meeting in person, talking to the community, that makes us all stronger. Information is power. It really does help us serve the community to the best of our ability. So tonight, as I said earlier, is the focus on public safety. And I'm gonna have both departments here give you 15-minute presentations. So the first 30 minutes of this will be back-to-back presentations from police and fire. And then we'll open up the 30 minutes for Q&A from you all. And we'll do just like we did last time. We'll just rotate one question at a time. And I don't want to be rude and cut anyone off, but I'll be pretty strict that ask your question, pass the torch to the next person, let them ask their question and just go around. If you don't have a question, you can say pass and just hand it back around to the next person. But I want to make sure everyone is heard and everyone has the opportunity to ask their questions. If we run out of time or questions come up after the meeting, again, you can send those to me and it'll be April Richardson who will be the acting city clerk. So April will step in and fill Sherry's role while we do the recruitment for the city clerk. And for those that joined a little bit late, tomorrow is Sherry's last day serving as the city clerk. She'll be retiring, and April Richardson will be stepping in as the acting city clerk while we do the recruitment to fill that position. So if you haven't had an opportunity and you'd like to wish Sherry good luck on her next adventure, feel free to drop her a line tomorrow, send her an email or a card, whatever you would like to do. But obviously, I know she would love to hear from each of you. And if you didn't watch last night's council meeting, the mayor did provide a proclamation in her honor. And there was a lot of nice comments made about Sherry's service to our community. And then Sherry obviously had a few words of her own that are worth watching. If you haven't had a chance, you can go back and watch the beginning of the council meeting and see that firsthand. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Captain Collins and ask him to share his screen, go through his presentation, and then Chief West will follow, and then we'll have Q&A. Captain Collins.
All right, thank you. Let me see if I can do this. I'm on the iPad. If the connection's too weak, I'm gonna have to switch to the laptop, but let me give it a shot. Yeah, I'm gonna have to switch to the laptop. Can we go to Chief West first and give me a minute and I'll switch it over? Thank you.
No problem. Chief West, why don't you jump in here? And you're on mute.
I just tried to share the screen and it says it's disabled right now.
Go ahead and try it now.
Okay, thank you. Can everyone see that?
Yes.
Let's see here. All righty. So again, good evening, everyone. My name is Randall West with the Alameda County Fire Department. I am currently division chief. So what does that mean for the city of Emeryville? Each division chief has a responsibility for one of the cities that we contract with. So quote unquote, technically I am the fire chief for the city of Emeryville. So I bring all messages and questions back to my fire chief, Chief Willie McDonald. So I would go to the next slide. And so ACFD department organizational goal. Give me a second here. Let me see. Okay, let's do it like that. Here we go. All right. ACFD's department organizational chart. Again, our fire chief is Chief Willie McDonald, and we have 2 deputy chiefs under Chief Willie McDonald. As you can see, we are under the deputy chiefs, we have division chiefs. As I mentioned before, each division chief is responsible for one of the cities that we contract with. And again, I am a fire chief for the city of Emeryville. Some of our department, ACFD department overview, we are considered, our organization is, we provide an all-risk emergency services throughout unincorporated areas in Alameda County. So the cities that we do serve are San Leandro, Union City, Newark, Dublin, the Livermore lab and the Berkeley lab, and of course, Emeryville as well. We have fire stations. We have 26 fire stations with 33 companies. Within those 26 fire stations, 2 of those fire stations are here in Emeryville, Station 34 and Station 35. Overall, we serve a population of close to almost 400,000 community members within a 508 square miles. We have over 400 personnel or members within our organization with 60 reserve firefighters. So the 60 reserve firefighters are also known as volunteer firefighters. So they do not get paid. They do volunteer their time and they can participate in community service activities, bad activities. And we have some of the firefighters who are qualified to also initiate in fire suppression if we need to call them out to emergency or 911 call. Some of the services, so let me back up. So ACFD and Emeryville Fire Department consolidated July 1st, 2012. That was our last consolidation. The pros to consolidation, we are able to provide services to the city of Emeryville that they may not have gotten if they was still Emeryville Fire Department. And some of those services that we do does include advanced life support, fire suppression, additional service that was provided to the city of Emeryville under ACFD was hazardous material responses. We have an urban and search rescue team, and we also have a water rescue team. We also have a boat that's at Station 34 on Powell Street. So that was additional service that we was able to provide to the city of Emeryville. To continue with the services, we have a outstanding community outreach and education program, disaster preparedness, and fire prevention and code compliance. And to include another additional service, Emeryville was able to utilize ACFD's Regional Dispatch Center. Some of our core values that we participate each and every day, all the men and women of ACFD are our members, organization, customer service, strategic management, and regional cooperation. In my opinion, customer service is the #1 core value because each and every day, our men and women of ACFD is providing the highest service provide the highest level of service available that we can to the community to make sure that y'all get superior service as well. Our fiscal year budget from 2021. You see a lot of numbers in here, see a lot of literature, but what I mainly want to focus on in the revenue part is the two pieces of the chart that you see where most of our revenue came from. And this was the charges for services for the city contracts and also unincorporated property taxes. If you look down at expenditures, where most of our money was spent was on salaries and other benefits and overtime. So if you look at the allocation model, we just focus on the city of Emeryville, 5.88% was allocated between the revenue and the expenditures. In the fiscal year 21 or 22, our expenditures kind of increased a little bit more. One reason was because of COVID. We had quite a few members who was off at times, so our overtime budget went up in expenditures. But the pros to that is that we was fully staffed and that we was still able to provide superior service during the COVID pandemic. Some of our stats that I would like to share from 2021. Overall, we ran close to 42,000 calls. You look at this chart, most of our calls are basically EMS 911 medical emergency calls. This is most of our calls. You go down to call for service allocation, and we want to focus on the city of Emeryville again. Again, we ran close to 42,000 calls, but for the city of Emeryville, those 42,000 calls, close to 2,000 calls, or a little bit over 2,000 calls, was initiated in the city of Emeryville. In our fire prevention, if you look at the charts, go back. If you look at the chart in our fire prevention inspections, we did close to 10,000 inspection overall for the whole department. Again, focus on the city of Emeryville. We did close to 700 inspections, business inspections in the city of Emeryville. Fire prevention plan checks, we did a little bit over 3,000. And again, focus on only the city of Emeryville. Of those 3,000, approximately over 300 were in the city of Emeryville. wanted to show you this map. Sure, we all know probably how Alameda County is laid out on the map. But if you look, you see Emeryville, we have Station 34 and 35. This is part of Alameda County and the services that what Emeryville is, a city that we provide service to. But with that being said, even though there's only 2 stations in Emeryville, if there was a intent of something major where we had to get additional resources, we are able to dispatch our resources from the closest unit available through regional corporation, which may include Albany, Berkeley, and Oakland. But at the same time, we are still able to dispatch our own ACFD apparatus that closely responds to be coming from the city of San Leandro. So just because Emeryville is kind of out there and you only see 2 stations, over the past few years, we have always tried our best to meet our calls by making sure that we utilize regional corporation by utilizing our neighboring departments. Some of our accomplishments that we have that is a big pro for us over the last few years. Maybe within the last couple of years, within the last year, we was approved to continue with our training center project. So it was approved for $30 million to build a new training center. And this training center would be in the city of Dublin behind our Station 17, which would be a big plus for us. This will give us the up-to-date training facility where we can make sure that we are better prepared to make sure we give you the superior service that our customers and your customers need on a day-to-day basis. The groundbreaking for this is expected to be by the end of 2022. Another accomplishment, during COVID, I mentioned it before, but during COVID pandemic, ACFD was one of the few departments that was able to maintain our response levels throughout the pandemic. So what does that mean? That we really didn't have to shut down any stations. We didn't have to burn out any stations. We were still fully staffed. Although we did have a lot of members that may have been off on COVID or off on sick leave to take care of family, our men and women of ACFD stepped up to the plate and made sure that they filled in the gaps where that was needed. Another accomplishment, we was approved for a $90 million fire safety bond, which was Measure X. So what does that mean for Alameda County Fire Department? So that means that we have approved money to make sure that we update, replace, and also upgrade old fire stations that need to be up to date, meaning some fire stations may not have had women and men bathrooms. Now we have the money to make sure we can make that a priority. ADA compliant. So now we have money that we can use to utilize to make sure that we are abiding, following the current laws and regulations. Some more accomplishments, staffing. We have on the suppression side. So suppression means those who work in the fire stations. Full-time employees, we have 318 members that are on the suppression side. And we are still able to have constant staffing. So we have 3 shifts, A, B, and C shift. And amongst the 3 shifts, 106 full-time employees are constantly staffed each day. We have some fire departments that are browning out stations. So we are very fortunate and very thankful that we can keep our fire stations open. A recruit academy. Another accomplishment, when fire departments have not been hired, we at ACFD has had the ability to continue to hire. 2022, we have 7 new recruits that just graduated from the academy, maybe about 2 months ago, well, a month and a half ago. So very proud of the men and women that did graduate from the academy. And projected, we are looking to have an academy in 2023, in the fall, in 2024. What does that mean for ACFD? The more people we can hire, the less overtime that we have to pay out, and the less, and that includes with benefits as well. So again, we're very fortunate that we can continue to hire when other fire departments don't have that capability or not in a position to do that right now. Promotions for 2022. we promoted 4 new division chiefs. With those 4 promotions, 2, and I'm very proud to say, was promoted to division chief. Is the first time in ACFD history that 2 women have been promoted to division chief. So that's a very proud moment for our organization right now. Battalion chiefs, we had 2 promotions in 2022 and 8 captains in 2022. Some of our organizational goals: a strategic business plan update. We will develop an EMS delivery system proposal, regional collaboration, diversity, inclusion, and equity. These are some of the top priorities that we will be focused on moving forward throughout the years, work and making sure that we can accomplish our goals in each section. And again, these are some links. You probably can't click these links right now, but these are links that are very informational. It gives information about ACFD, our emergency preparedness and community education. And that concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Chief West. We'll now move to Captain Collins. And we'll make sure when we send you these slides that the links are active. So Pedro and April can work together with the chiefs to make sure that those links are live.
All right, thank you. And I apologize for the IT delay there, but Chief West, thank you for filling in. And I'll just go ahead and share the screen here and see if we can get this up. All right, is it, can you guys see it?
No, it's not showing up. You want to email it to me and see if I can get it up for you if you're having issues?
Yeah, I can work on that. It's looks like a firewall. There's a firewall situation. All right, I just sent it to you there, Pedro, and I'll keep working on it here. It was working earlier today. Did you get that, Pedro?
I did. Let me try to get it up real quick here.
All right. Either one, there's a PDF and a Word, a PowerPoint. Either one is, they're both the same.
Okay. Is that showing?
Yep.
All right.
All right. Again, apologies for the delay. You want to next screen there? Okay. So some of these slides you saw in the last short presentation. Some of them have been expanded and some of them are brand new. So we'll kind of move quickly through the ones you've probably seen before and spend more time on the ones that are new. This is our organization chart as we operate today. You saw this last time, so we'll skip ahead there. And we didn't get into a whole lot of depth on these 4 bullet points from the last time, but essentially the first bullet point and the third bullet point are part of the President Obama's 21st Century Policing. It came out in about 2015. And part of the essential core duties of the police department fill the building the trust and legitimacy and community safety and crime reduction. The middle one there about community outreach and partnerships is somewhat part of the 21st century policing model, but it's one of our essential core values in the police department is to build our community partnerships with residents, the business owners, and with people that come to visit. And the last bullet point there is we do have somewhat of a younger department just because of retirements and PERS employees reaching their maximum retirement age. And so we do try to focus on our professional development, succession planning, and what that really equates to is building leaders and building a modern professional police department. Next slide, please, there, Pedro. The first bullet point there, we working on the community safety and crime reduction, which is gonna be part with our computer-aided dispatch. Sorry. We are in the process of contract negotiations with the vendor, and we've identified funding for that project. And we're really excited about the opportunity to bring in a new dispatch system and a records management system. This will help us provide data to the community, be more transparent, and almost live, real time, be able to share crime trends and crime data with the community. We're taking over the Emergency Operations Center from the city staff, and we are proactively going through our policies. In fact, we updated one today, and so we're very active in making sure our policies are compliant with state law, federal law, and best practices. The last bullet point there is about the second to last is about the community, the safety equipment and emergency vehicles. Part of our recruitment strategy that we'll talk about a little bit later involves having innovative, intuitive IT software projects or components so that our staff can efficiently write their reports, do research, and be able to be available on the street and do all this stuff mobile from the patrol car so that they don't have to go to the station. Really going back to our community outreach and visibility in the community and the transparency. The last one there is about the grants, and we are very active in procuring grants, applying for and getting grants. If you heard the council meeting last night, we had another grant award that was accepted by council for $10,000, and it's kind of small, but it's part of our plan to get additional funding for the police department. Next slide, please. We have this annual crime stats, which I'm going to kind of gloss over this because we have a couple of slides later that we really kind of dive into the crime stats, but our operating budget is just under 15 million. We have an authorized staffing of 41 sworn positions and 17 professional positions, and our current staffing is at 36 sworn and 15 professional staff position. The last three bullet points there we'll get into in the next couple of slides there. So we'll move ahead, please. All right, so we're going to, the next three slides, we're going to talk about crime stats, and we want to set a baseline for where our current crime trends are at versus what they were pre-pandemic. So the 2019 crime stats, we see that we are somewhat high in robberies and in these violent crime categories, in assaults, carjacking, but the total violent crimes, it was at 334 reported, which was a slight increase from the prior year. Down in the property crime stats, you see we almost hit 1,600 auto burglaries, 39% increase from 2018. It was a really bad year from auto burglary standpoint for a city our size. But going down the line there, you see we had a decrease in commercial burglaries, but increase in residential burglaries, and overall total property crimes was 2,600, which is another pretty significant increase from the prior year. So keeping that in mind, we're going to move forward to the next slide, which will be the next 3 years, 2020, 2021, and 2022 crime stats. And just for kind of eyeball comparison, you can see that the total violent crimes were pretty trending down in 2020. And then we start to see in 2021, the violent crimes increase because we're, again, transitioning out of the pandemic. And then 2022, we have another increase as the pandemic subsides and people are back to work and all that stuff. But overall, violent crimes between 2019 and 2022 are significantly down. And then next slide, please. In the next slide, we talk about the property crimes and commercial burglaries, petty theft, auto theft, and things like that. These crimes were obviously significantly down from the 2019 year-to-date crimes, and while they're trending up from 2020 to 2022, we're still well below the numbers we had in 2018 and 2019. Next slide, please. This is just another graph we see about the auto burglaries, and you remember that nearly 1,600 number I mentioned in 2019 stats, which was up 20% from 2018. We see that we have our auto burglary stats in 2020 is under 500, 2021 is just a little bit over 650. And then so far year to date, we're trending lower from 2021, but we still have 4 months left in the year. But even if we reach that 660 mark that we did in 2021, we're still less than half we were in 2019. So we're doing pretty well. Next slide, please. All right, the next couple of slides, we're going to talk about the industry and retention and recruitment. We've done a survey with the other agencies in our immediate area, mostly in Alameda County, but also in Contra Costa County, about salary and benefits. If you recall on the slide, a few slides ago, it said what our authorized staffing level was and what our current staffing level is. We're currently down 7 officer positions and 3 professional staff positions. And we're seeing and we're not unique. We are in the same boat as most other agencies in Alameda County and in Contra Costa County. And we're seeing a trend. We noticed this last year, and the trend is continuing. And so we thought it was valuable to highlight that other cities and other agencies are taking notice of the challenging times we are in recruiting and hiring qualified candidates to be police officers. And just some of the numbers up there are really unique, but from being in law enforcement for more than 23 years now, I've never seen pay increase numbers like this before, but I would say it's more than a trend. It's becoming standard for agencies and contract negotiations with labor unions to see these kind of pay increases. You see some of the high $30,000 hiring bonus numbers 17% pay increases, 20% retention bonuses there in San Leandro, and the 9% longevity pay for Walnut Creek. El Cerrito, and also its 17% pay increase. These are 3-year contracts, these percentage, 17% over 3 years. And cities are aggressively making changes to recruit the best qualified candidates to be officers to serve their communities. And these numbers are showing that. Next slide, please. Can you hit that one more time there, Pedro, to the retention? Yeah. Okay. So we've been a year and a half since we've had our last officer hire pass a field training program. Our recruitment and retention with other agencies in our area has been challenging for the last 7 years. And our current vacancy position is, well, we have one person, his last day will be on Friday. So that 17% is going to climb tad, and that 6 vacant is going to go to 7. And that person is lateraling to another law enforcement agency. So it's our position, and the chief can maybe do a little better job of explaining it, but we have to take notice, and we have to do something to change how we recruit and retain our staff. We're essentially in a hiring crisis, and we can't compete with agencies that are having significant increases like you saw on the other slides. So I won't beat a dead horse there, but hopefully you kind of get the point of what our challenges are and where we're headed. Next slide, please. And that wraps it up for me. And the city manager said 15 minutes and don't go over. I'm at 13 minutes. So hopefully I made you proud, but sorry for the little mess up with the technology. And thank you, Pedro. That's it for me.
Thank you, Captain Collins, and big thanks, Chief West. And you guys did a great job in keeping to the time allotment. So why don't we just jump right into questions here? And again, our focus is law enforcement and public safety and fire services. And you have the chiefs here and Captain Collins to respond to your question. So no particular order. Who would like to go first? Just jump right in.
I'd like to go first. What do you, for both police and fire, what do you feel are your greatest challenges or greatest weaknesses right now, and the challenge behind them, and also your greatest strengths?
You want to do that, Chief, or do you want?
Go ahead. You got something?
So I think we highlighted it in the presentation. Our significant weakness right now is recruitment and retention. We've been struggling for going on 7 years with that. And, it is what it is. And other cities are making a move to keep and retain people. And so I think that's a weakness. But our biggest strength, and I commonly bring this up when I give presentations to the community, is our community outreach and our community bridge building and relationship building. Our officers spend a significant amount of time on calls for service with victims of crime, witnesses of crime, and business owners to make sure that they feel like they're being served appropriately, so that they're building trust, they're building transparency, and they're building relationships. And our officers, without a doubt, have been honorable, with integrity, and open to change, and open to some of the police reform things that have come out, and our community has been fully supportive of our officers, and it does not go unnoticed. So hopefully that wasn't too long.
And do you see a
Hold
solution
on,
to?
hold on 1 second, Eugene, let Captain West, our Chief
Oh,
West
yes, sorry.
respond to the question, and then we're gonna rotate.
Okay,
Thank you, Captain Collins. So I would have to agree with Captain Collins that just first responders, including with fire, recruitment and retention has been an issue for the last several years. For instance, years ago, coming into the fire service, and I just say first responders, it was a profession that was very one that people were seeking out to be part of. Now we are living in different times. People need to feed their family. People need to make sure that they can pay their mortgage. So we're living in times, especially here in the Bay Area, where, you know, with inflation rising, it's tough to find qualified individuals that want to come to be first responders into the fire service. I speak for the fire service. And it's, you know, with tech companies out there. But one of our biggest positives, or should I say, moving forward, and I would have to say, just like Captain Collins said, just going out and being part of the community. We need ACFD does a very fine job of making sure that our men and women are out in the community so they can see our faces, so they can talk to us, they can ask questions, they can feel like they just not firefighters, they actually belong, you know, they feel like they're a part of the community. So going out there and making sure that we show our face is very important. And I think that's a positive for ACFD, and I think it's a positive for Emeryville Police as well. So.
Thanks, Chief West. Let's rotate to the next council candidate.
Sure, I can take the next question. And this one is for the captain. The dispatch program, when is it going to come online?
We're in contract negotiations for the system right now. We expect to go to council. I think there is a November 3rd council date. That's our target, to get this to the council for contract approval. And then after that, it might be a little bit ambitious, but we're hoping by June or July of 23 to have the system installed after testing and building.
Thank you, Cap.
Next question.
Sure. So I'm just curious for both of you. You mentioned struggling with recruitment and retention. What can we do to help with that? What could the city do to help you?
I could speak. Over the years, I think Emeryville has been very supportive with ACFD. I use one program, for example. We started a program with ACFD at Emory Annie Yates Elementary School, which is K through 8, I believe, with the middle school. One of the programs that we have been doing is called Chief is My Belief. And this is trying to go out and motivate young students to see the fire department. You know, you look at some of the kids and, you know, the young girls are in class, they may not ever see a female firefighter. So going out and having the Chief is My Belief, where they can actually see a female firefighter, a female driving a fire engine, a female that they could call a chief, is amazing to them, because it's never been, you know, they probably don't see this on TV, but in real life, you know, the ones that we're trying to get, it'd be good if we could turn those who are 18 and 19 and come tomorrow, they want to be firefighters. That would be great. But the ones that we are trying to get right now are those who are young. And so it's being implanted in their head that, look, you can do this one day. So I would say Emeryville, with the council members, from the different mayors, from the different city managers, they have always been supportive of making sure that whatever we need to try to go out and try to recruit, they had our backs. So since you are all running for the city council, you know, my ask from ACFD is that you continue that support if you are elected. So thank you.
So
You're on
I'll have a.
Chief,
Say.
you're on mute, Chief. Chief Jennings wants to say a word. There you go.
So I'll add to what Chief West has said. So essentially, this is the biggest part. This is the beginning with the candidates being aware of what our issues are. But it's not just the police and fire, it's government in general having a hard time hiring people for being competitive in a fully inundated public market where you're under 4% unemployment. Government is not where you're making the big money and we're going to become rich, but you do provide a great service and that's needed. The bureaucracy that we have, protect and serve, and to bring some joy from community services to kids' lives and some education. So being aware that the monetary things, we're going to be going into negotiations and just being aware of that, this to keep our city excellent the way it's going, we need to maintain the talent that we have and recruit the talent that we need for the future. And so Wes was talking about having females, DEI, diversity, inclusion, people coming in from different walks of life who want to work here, but you have to attract them. And so being aware of that is a major issue, not just is throughout the nation. You know, if I can be an engineer and not be a police officer and I can make double the amount of money, then and also the region that we live in, the gentleman that we're losing on Friday, he's been commuting from Folsom, California, to come here. And so eventually that wears on you. So regionally, hard to live, inflation, all those things factor in. So that's why being aware of what we have going on right now regarding recruiting and retention is important for the new candidates to come in and be aware of it.
Thank you.
So I'll go. I have a question probably for the second round, but I just want to say that Chief West, I applaud your involvement in the community. You've been a fantastic role model for Black History Month and just like really showing up, being someone that our kids can look up to. And for the police department, I run the tenant board association. So when we've had meetings at Courtyard 65th, Sergeant Lee has been there rather consistently to address the community. And even sometimes in my neighborhood watch, interacting with the police has been exemplary. So I just want to say that that the fire department, the police department is one of the reasons why I enjoy making Emeryville my home. And so I just want to say thank you. All the things that you all have been saying, it's actually been showing on the ground.
Back to Eugene.
Yes, have either the or both the fire and police department, have you thought about a research and development arm? That is an arm that asks the question, what's causing these problems, both in fire and in policing? And what can we do to resolve these problems? Is there anything like that that's ever been established in either of your fields? And is there a way that the city of Emeryville could help to create such a research and development department for both of you?
Well, I'll go first. So with the police chiefs, there's a statewide and a nationwide police chief association and sheriff's association, and they do a lot of in-depth work. We have also PERF, police executive research group that does research, and we also have the FBI. Me and Oliver both attended the FBI and PERF and Smiths, which are all research and educational places, and they put information out. A lot of it is anecdotal. There's no, for me, I've been in the business for 32 years in December. And our coffers of people that come in to this law enforcement business and firefighting business waxes and wanes with the economy. And some people are driven by familia, driven, my dad did it, my grandpa did it. And others are like, I've always wanted to do it. And right now there's this, I've been saying, I will steal it from a doctor I talked to, is protest and pandemic. So where public service right now has been, for all of us in all public service and government work, has been attacked by other forces that feel a different way about our society. So for my daughter, she's 22, she liked to abolish the police. And, I'm like, I'm putting her through the I'm putting her through college, and that is a big trend for these kids who've seen nothing but scenes of police brutality, economic downturns, families losing their houses. So it's not just us, it's a society, it's a nationwide, if not a worldwide issue. And so, yeah, would I like a R&D for that? Yeah, I don't know what we could do in Emeryville to do that, but what we need, the city, is continued support to make sure that we make the citizen services keep coming. And so there's way bigger than just our city.
Well put, Chief Jennings, and a great question, Eugene. I would have to agree. I'm sorry if it sounds like I say, well, I'm agreeing with police, but look, first responders. This is not, like Chief Jennings said, this is just not the city of Emeryville. It's everywhere. I just took a class down in Southern Cal a couple of weeks ago, going back next week. We living in different times. And to support us, if we are asking, if we're asking, it's a reason why we're asking, and that we'll need that support moving forward. Again, with the inflation, people trying to pay their mortgage, people trying to put food in their family mouths, the commuting, fire department as well. We have a lot of people, they live out of state that comes out and that come to the fire department. They work 8 days and then they go back home. Eventually, that's going to catch up with them. But we would like to hire, it would be nice that our organization, that your organization, because this is your organization, we can hire our community. Why? Because I feel like when you hire from your community, they have more of buy-in, more of a sense of belonging to where they live at. Not saying there's anything wrong with hiring members from outside our community, but it's just a different feel when you live here and you work here. So it would be good. Just if we are asking for support, that means we need it.
Next question, please.
Sure, I'll take the next one. For both chiefs, what are the services in your departments that you think could be handled with social services, or is there anything like that you feel could be delegated over to be less burdensome on your departments?
So that is a great question, and that's really in line with what we have been doing. For my particular discipline is partnering with social workers, clinicians, to go help with the homeless. That's the main issue, working with people who are unsheltered and whatever their other maladies might be, drug addicted, just straight mental health, self-medicating for their mental health. And so we work with several entities in King County that help us out. But again, there's not enough resources, not enough beds. And so that's the main issues, is the beds, and then also the policy to make sure that the ones that are willing and able to get help, that we can help those initially. And then the ones who are not, we end up having a mechanism that we can essentially force them to get help, a carrot and a stick perspective. Captain Collins can speak on the initiative we just spoken on our staff meeting. Do you recall? Okay.
Yes, so last week, I think it was, or 2 weeks ago, Governor Newsom signed a bill into law. It's SB 1338, and it's called the CARE Act, and it's CARE Act and CARE Court, and CARE is, I think, community. Well, I'm going to butcher it, so I won't try. But essentially, it's services for mental health through the criminal justice system, so that people, specifically for people with mental illness and addiction, and so that if they go into the criminal justice system, they'll be diverted into CARE Court, and in that court process, it's a 12 to 24 month program. It appears that it's going to be voluntary, which means you have to go into it willingly. And if you meet all the thresholds and reach all the tiers in the recovery program, that your charges will be expunged from your record. And it's still in its infancy, but it looks like it will have 5 counties in California will adopt this or have it live in December of 23. And the rest of the counties in California will have to have it in their courts by December of 2024. Alameda County is not one of the 5 in the first wave, so we anticipate being in the second wave of 2024, which is the Alameda County Superior Court has to come up with essentially a mental health court system, diversion system, or whatever other HHS is going to call it.
Thank you, Chiefs. Thank you,
All
Council.
right. And for myself, well, from the fire department, I just use one example with social services. Training would be good for our members of knowing, if we go to a call, of knowing exactly what is the best resource to make sure that this person who needs medical help, is it truly a medical, or do they really need social services? And it'd be good to find out training and know those resources that are out there. So when our members do go on scene, it's kind of like a triage. Does this person really need to go to the hospital? What's the best solution for this? Where can we send this person? It's not the hospital, but who can we call right away to make sure that this person is getting the best service getting the service that they need right now, and it's not medical emergency service. So just knowing how to triage that and just better training, and maybe knowing where we can get those resources from so we can recommend them. I think that would be essential for us, knowing how to triage and have the right resource to provide to someone that's calling 911.
Thank you, Chief.
And in addition, Ms. Carr, so 100% of the police department is crisis intervention trained. That's the sworn staff. And I think nearly 90% of our unsworn staff, our professional staff, our dispatchers and our PCDs have also been through the training. So it's a priority of ours to make sure they stay up in that crisis intervention training, recognizing danger, recognize someone's having in crisis, a mental health crisis, and calling the additional resources if they're available. So, we're small, we're battling with Oakland and other people who need the same resources. And but we do work together, and that is growing. It's expanding. I think the county's gotten some more money for their care program.
Thank you.
Next question.
I'll pass, and it looks like our time's about up, so I'm fine with following up via email if there's anything further.
Okay, let's go around, at least one more time. Go ahead.
Yeah, so thank you. So this is for our police force. We're quickly approaching the holiday season, and so package theft is expected to skyrise. From what I understand, there's an issue wherein a lot of the residences, and I belong to one of them, that are near the freeways, that some of these sort of criminal syndicates, that they stage these thefts, and then they head to the freeway, and then they're gone, and this is some difficulty coordinating since it goes past Emeryville's jurisdiction. Has there been any improvement on that, like communication with highway patrol and any sheriffs as relates to sort of this thing that's happened, this ring that's happening as it relates to package theft?
So from a criminal perspective, we talk about the triangle of criminality: desire to commit a crime, the target, which is right now we're talking about the male, and opportunity. So as what we work on, I'm going to talk about holistically quickly. What we talk about holistically is trying to stop the opportunity. So when we talk to the HOAs, we talk about, especially the apartment complexes, getting a secured place where you can put your mail. That's the most important. A lot of places are not secured. You just come and go as you want. There's one key. So we talk about hardening that target. And so as far as the coordinating, when we have big cases and we happen to catch someone, we always work with the U.S. Postal Service and other avenues to investigate the actual crime and prosecute. As far as the coordinating with CHP, these are more of the laws. Our department is not pursuing for property crime. And so the people who are committing these crimes, they know that. They drive on the wrong side of the road, they drive on the sidewalk, the pursuit is terminated. We'll call CHP, it's pretty much the same thing. They'll track them for a period of time, but if it's just a property crime, they're not gonna go like it's a crime against person, a violence crime. And the perpetrators know this. And so it's very difficult to prosecute them, catch them and prosecute. Once we catch them, we prosecute them, and that's a whole nother issue with the courts and how they're prosecuting the crime and who the perpetrator was. A lot of times they're young men and women who don't have an extensive crime history, or there's no crime of violence. So they don't stay in county jail and they come back out. And so there's a whole many layers to it. I don't know if that's a satisfactory answer, but that's the truth. And that's what we'll always give you.
Back to the top. We started a little late, and I know that not everyone can stay on. So, you're not required to stay on, but I'd ask the chiefs here to hang on for a little bit longer if that's okay. And let's try to get a few more questions here. Go ahead.
Yeah, I have one. Our local CVS is closing down at the end of this month. And the problem was that people would go in and just grab whatever they wanted and walk out and walk away. What is the situation with the police and also the fire department with things like with crime like that people go in, they take what they want and they leave, and they might harm someone. How does the police and fire department look upon that? Because it's led to the closing of the whole store. So I'm wondering why that's kind of been left open-ended.
Well, I would say, Eugene, another great question from fire. I mean, and I'm not trying to play devil's advocate, but when you're trying to survive, I can see why they are going in, because they're trying to survive. Now, at the same time, does it make it right? No. From fire perspective, I mean, if we get called out, we're probably getting called out because something may have happened where it might have been a physical altercation. We never know. 9 times out of 10, that's probably why we're getting called out for an incident like that. Or they might be having a major breakdown, just having a mental breakdown. And so when we get called out, it's kind of hard for us to understand, like, why is this store closing? What can we do to prevent the CVS from closing? Our main priority when we come on the scene is that patient. And so we'll focus on that patient. What they took at that time is not really our concern from the fire department. We're there to provide a service to make sure that this individual is okay and that they can be treated and sent off to the right place. Unfortunately, that CVS is being closed. I know we had some issues. Let's just take out the theft. When the homeless was really bad before they was moved to, in my opinion, kind of moved out. They had to be relocated. That CVS had a high homeless encampment there in the back. So we was getting called out because they were blocking the emergency exit. And we did our job. We instead of trying to put the hammer down, we went out and talked to them. I mean, personally, I remember going out talking and said, I'm not trying to be a dictator here, but could you please move? And just by talking, some understood, some was a little rebellious, but it's all about the approach. Just because, they may be in the wrong You don't have to come out all strong and let them know that you're in the wrong. It's all about how you communicate with people. So so that was our big major, was the homeless situation by that CVS. And that's why we was getting called out most of the time, because of the emergency exit was being blocked. So who they called 911 fire department, because it was kind of fire related. Can't speak for PD, but that was a whole nother, probably a whole different answer that they would give. But it's unfortunate that CVS has to close.
Yes, it is.
No, I would reiterate what Chief West has said. A lot of multiple disciplinary issues with the people who are living behind there. And also the avenue that it's on is a very busy avenue. So it wasn't just, our homeless people. There's people from Oakland and Berkeley that would traverse that one. And I think that we mitigated some of the people, not as many of the same number of people living there or hanging out there there was before. But as far as the regional issue, CVS closed multiple CVSs throughout the region, and wasn't just, so I don't think it was, we don't have, if you look at our crime stats, we don't have a series of the number that is so high that is dedicated right to CVS that would cause them to close that. There was some other business model reasons that fell into that for them to also do it. It probably might have helped them decide it, but it wasn't like that was the main reason why that one is being closed. We never had any extra meetings with the CVS management. We worked well with the security people that were around there, but it never reached the area where we were having an HOA or a business meeting with them over what was going on. And then again, regionally, we talk about crime. And so when you go and you CVS, now to be a felon, you have to steal almost $1,000 worth of stuff to be sent to county. And that was a law that was enacted by the state, and it's had some good repercussions and some unforeseen repercussions where people are rotating in and out of jail or just getting cited and never going to jail. So there's several issues for CVS leaving.
Thank you, Chief. Next
Okay,
question.
thank you.
I will take the next one. Chief Jennings, you had said something about preventative measures. There should not be an opportunity other than the package theft where there is for those HOAs, they don't have a package room that's dedicated just to packages. There's definitely something that could be done as a measure to prevent the opportunity from being there in the first place, because prevention is definitely better than the cure, right? Are there any other opportunities that you see in the community that would be helpful for the community to take, that would also help the police department?
Well, I'm a firm believer in crime watch or neighborhood watches, and that's where again, I've been in the job for 32 years, and we don't know our neighbors as well as we did 30 years ago. And they would say we didn't know our neighbors as well as we did in 1980. And so having, a crime captain and a crime watch captain, talking to your neighbors and having each other's emails, looking out for each other. We talk about that regularly when we go to any kind of home association meeting or individual houses. And so societal wise, we've drifted apart further than we did, 20 years ago. So reestablishing those connections. We went to many HOA meetings. We had some business meetings. We've been in Watergate. We've been to Park Region. So we meet with a lot of folks, but after we have a meeting, it's up to the individual citizens to connect and stay connected. And policing has never been just the police on their own. We only allowed the police because the citizens give us the power, give us the badges, and they're supposed to participate in this. And we've moved away from that. So we talk about that at meetings, connecting. When you're going away, have someone grab your mail, have someone check your house, find someone that you trust, even though it's your family member, but someone that lives in the region. We also talk about, our last meeting was having a security on site. So several places don't have security on site. They have roaming security, or they have someone they can call, but having someone or a apartment manager living on the complex, you see more, you're willing to call and calling. A lot of people feel like they're bothering us because their issues are small, but we take 30,000 calls a year and only 2,000 of them are significantly powerful. You know, we need you right now. A lot of those calls are, we need you because there's a suspicious person. And then we talk about suspicious people. What is suspicious? It's not because they're Hispanic or Black or white in a different area, because they're doing something. What is their behavior that makes it suspicious? So we talk about that when we, you know, so citizens have an idea. I don't want to be the person that's just calling all the time because I don't understand what suspicious is. So we talk about those things. And so we're willing to go to any place and have, I love it personally. There's nothing more powerful than going to someone's home or the residents or having a community meeting and explaining to them what we're looking for as law enforcement officers so we can help them help themselves. And so that would be the message in wherever you're living. And when we do our national night out, we fell off because of COVID. Now it built back up a little bit this year, but my other jurisdiction is a very huge deal when you have block parties and you get to meet folks. So those are the reduction of opportunities, is connectedness. It's one of the measures, helpers.
Thank you.
Sorry, I went on too long, but.
No, that was great. Thank you.
More questions?
I will pass again. Thank you.
The question I have is actually for Adam and Pedro. Like we talked about during the Public Works meeting, the previous meeting, that that we have sort of these requirements that we're placing for new developments, and unfortunately, it's hard to place new requirements on older developments, and that's one of the problems. Is that a lot of those developments are they're run by property managers and property owners, and so there isn't an HOA, and so the units that are rented, they don't feel as empowered to be able to organize and be able to approach the police and to the fire department. And so related to package theft, are we requiring many of these new developments that are happening to have the space to be able to hold many of these packages? Because many of them, their perception is that having a mail room is enough.
Yeah, it's a good question, and I don't know if Pedro's got the answer, but you know, this earlier last week, there's a committee, an internal committee of staff that looks at every application that comes across the planning department's desk, and it's called the Development Coordination Committee. And police, fire, public works, you know, everyone's at the table, and they're asking, you know, for feedback and asking to look at every angle of these projects. So, you know, I think, again, by the quality of the staff, and I wanted this, you know, as a short timer here, you've just been the interim now for 2 months. I'm just so impressed with the quality of employees across the board, up and down the organization. And so when I listened to the meeting and really looking at the various elements of the development, you really are getting a kind of from the internal city review, a real good 360-degree discussion. And they're not going to capture everything, but again, that's why the public hearing, before it goes to the planning commission or to the council or wherever the discussion lends itself, in some cases it may be agendized on the Park and Rec Commission or a transportation committee meeting, but that's trying to get the public participation. And that's, you know, kind of going back, you know, to these bigger discussions, getting the public to participate, not just when something bad happens, but actually when something good is going on, and how do we make it better, right? And that's where I think a small community like Emeryville, which prides itself on art and innovation, prides itself on being small, but doing big things. That's where the public participation show is. Again, as you're out there doing coffees, talking to your neighbors, you know, out there campaigning, really encouraging them. I mean, several of you, I don't think, have been on boards or commissions, and there's several boards and commissions that have vacancies every year. And again, those are lighter steps. You know, being a council member is a big deal. I mean, that's a big job and a big commitment. But serving on some of these other committees is also really important, but not the same level of work or involvement, but still important. So I think, you know, that's a really good question. Pedro, I don't know if you think that the new developments capture something. And again, I know that there's a sergeant or a lieutenant that serves on there, and they're looking at safety issues, fires on there looking at safety issues. I can't tell you, I've only been to one meeting. I can't tell you if I heard on the mailing safety. Pedro?
I can't recall that being a discussion point, but I can check in and follow up with some information, checking in with planning and seeing if that is on their radar.
Thank you.
Yeah, and we'll do a lightning round here, one question each of any, you know, for your last question, and ask the chiefs to respond quickly. But I have to tell you, you know, as an interim and having an opportunity to be an interim and serving, you know, as city manager for over 14 years, this is the best part of our job. Having these moments with you all is really the best part of our job. And anytime we go out into the community and get to connect with the community, best part of our job. So I just want to thank you, you know, all for your really thoughtful questions and your involvement here. It is really helpful, and it keeps us inspired and keeps us motivated. And it gives us something to take back to our team and share this information with them. And I can promise you that's what, you know, each of the department heads do when they have these opportunities with you or other members of the community. So let's go to the lightning round here. Quick question, quick responses, and at 6, we'll try to wrap this up by 6:25.
Okay, quick question. So I'm not quite getting why is it that when you go into a school, or go into people who are native to the area, residents, that the students or young people who are looking towards their occupations, that there's no excitement about being a firefighter or a policeman? What is the disconnect? What is the challenge that's not being felt by this new generation? Why are they not taking a step and seriously considering that profession?
I would go with that. I could start off with that lightning round, quick answer. I won't say they're not excited, especially, I mean, when you walk into a classroom, especially in elementary school or junior high, they're excited to see police officer and firefighters, you know, men and women. So it's not like they're not excited. They are. It's just right now, I would say this, in my opinion, the ones that we'll see that are older are, you know, it's just different times. There's just maybe a few years ago, maybe firefighter or police officer wasn't in front of them when they was in front of the classrooms. And that could be, you got, it's all about tech right now. You know, firefighting and police, well, I know firefighting it's nothing about tech unless you in the administration. You got to know how to do Excel, Microsoft Teams. But going out on a fire engine is, you know, that's physical work. So to get them motivated when they pull in a fire hose or they putting on a fire helmet, that motivates them. I don't want to say the kids are not motivated. It's just, you know, media is not promoting firefighting and police officers. I mean, in a way that's exciting. So, you know, it's a lot of variables that's being implemented and that our kids see on TV that can make them make decisions and moving forward.
And I would say that just there's two things that I see, and the chief and I talk about it almost every day. It's an employee's market. They don't need to be a firefighter or a cop or a city employee. They can go off and take almost any job at any tech company, biotech or anything like that. And then the second thing is just the downturn in goodwill towards government work, the distrust of federal government, state government, local government. I think it's just it's a different ballgame. to be kind of brief, but that's it.
Thank you. Next question.
So I'm hearing both of your responses to that, and just to clarify, do you see it as more a social issue, budgetary issue, combination? Where do we stand with that?
I would say both, budget and the social issue. I mean, of course, if we have the money to do more recruitment, that would be wonderful. And with so, you know, the social backgrounds, social times, we again, Miss Westland, we're living in some different times right now.
Yeah, the budget question's a hard one, right? Because you have to have the revenue to offset, those expenses. And now you're picking and choosing what services do you put your resources in and which ones do you not, and so you had Public Works on here, last week, and infrastructure, sewer, storm drains, ADA, things that are not discretionary, and you look at your sidewalks, you look at your facilities and all of the upgrades that are required. And again, if you don't do this, you get fined. You get fined by the state or the federal government, or you get sued. And all that money's going the wrong direction. And, so it's really looking at what can you afford? What, you have taxpayers exhausted with every election, another tax, in front of them. And again, people are struggling to make ends meet across the board. So it's a real difficult balance. And that's where we're depending on the state, we're depending on the county, we're depending on the federal government to put more money back into local government to help us provide the services that are really not discretionary. Next question.
I'll add
Go
is
ahead.
what we need to do as peace officers. I think Eugene mentioned the question about R&D is more working with technology and social media to put a better image out about what we do as law enforcement officers. I tell a quick story. I never wanted to be a cop. I was going to be a defense attorney. Things happen. I became a cop. It's been the love of my life, besides my family. But the narrative put out by the big media is that we're all jackbooted thuds. We're beating people up every day. They forget about the thousands of things that we do good every single day because nobody wants to hear the good news. It's problematic. And I don't know what the proper way of combating that. But one of it is by having meetings, going national night out, going to HOAs, coming to your house. What I appreciate about all the candidates is that you took your time out of your life to do this and to give back to the community. Whether you lose or win, you're all winners to me. Sounds like a little rah-rah. But also the fact is, I want you to go back to where you live and reach out to us. If you have any questions, reach out to us. You want to come by. You want to formulate a neighborhood watch, or you want to just have a meeting, we're there to make it happen. And so that's one of the most what city manager Pulitzer just said is that this is the greatest moments that we have is talking to the citizens that we serve. This isn't happening now.
Thank you for mentioning that.
Last two questions. Anyone want to jump in? You're on mute. You're on mute. You're on mute, Ms. Carr.
Thank you, Adam. Actually, I was just thanking everyone. I was just going to take my opportunity to just echo Chief Jennings's words. Yeah, I also thank you for this opportunity that you've spent time out of your day and your life to be with us and to let us know how we can help and how you can help. So I'm glad to be able to build this bridge as a community member in this meeting. And thank you, Adam, for organizing it. Thank you, Pedro and Chief West and Captain Collins. Thank you so much.
Yes, I'd like to say the same. Thank you for everyone to be a part of this. This is really the most important part of understanding all of you, understanding your careers, understanding your way of thinking, understanding your perceptions of everyday life. It's fascinating, and I'm I'm really feel honored to listen to what you have to say. So thank you very much for doing that.
I echo everyone's sentiments, but I also have a request. Adam and Pedro, so Officer Collins' presentation mentioned a 28% population increase in terms with Emeryville and 1,100 units, home units being added. Is there a way that we can have like some sort of dashboard infographic, one page that shows exactly what our population expectations are, and in addition to the units? So I think that that would probably help in our campaigning, in our running, for us to actually have that information in front of us, so we know exactly how Emeryville is growing, both unit wise and population wise, but so on one page rather than multiple slides.
Yeah, we'll work on that. I think some of that is forecasted information, and depending on what source that comes from. I don't know if it was at our last meeting or public comment at a council meeting, but I think they said that the housing folks are projecting that Emeryville will have like 38,000 people in year 2035 or something like that. But that obviously Emeryville would look very different if you went from what are you, roughly a little less than 15,000 now, to over twice that population in that short period of time. So yeah, we'll see what we can pull out. I'll look to Charlie, our community development director, and Chad, our housing and economic development director, to kind of help pull some of that information together. But I think what Captain Collins was saying earlier is that you're seeing all this growth, but you're not seeing the growth in the departments. You're not seeing the growth to support all the demands that come with that, and across the board in every department. Kim, when she was here for the community services department, one of the programs that's really put some strain on their department is that the school district has received a state grant so that the kids do not have to pay for after school daycare. So they go from 70 to 80 kids to 150 kids, and we need to staff up. And there's not a lot of people that are available between the hours of 3 and 6 o'clock in the afternoon that are willing to work for basically minimum wage, even though minimum wage is pretty high compared to my day, but it's nothing compared to what's needed to be a livable wage today. And that's the strain. So we're providing, in my opinion, no offense to anyone, subpar daycare because of a non-coordinated effort by the state to give families free after-school daycare. Great idea, but we needed the same resource to be given to the city to be able to staff up with quality people available from 3 to 6 o'clock in the afternoon. Just one example of what I think Captain Collins was saying earlier, where the growth of the population is not equal with the growth of the services required to support them. So I'm going to let us all go tonight. Again, I really appreciate everyone here, especially our chiefs and our captain and our assistant city manager. This kind of concludes our kind of formal series that we put on. Again, if there's a critical mass of questions that come forward that call for a certain department to step forward, we would welcome that. Our challenge, as I've said before, because the one that's kind of missing here is finance. And because we're in the middle of the first interim finance director, and come October 17th, we'll have our second interim finance director. I don't think there'd be a lot of value at this moment in time to have that discussion, because you'd be asking the interim finance director that just started within the last 2 weeks questions that they won't have the answers to. So we'll try to pick that up later, but clearly we want to, whomever is elected, and I agree with Chief Jennings, you're all winners for being a part of the process. But once you are elected, we have to bring you up to speed on the finances. So do look at the city's budget, look online, and if you have questions, direct those back to me, And I'll work with our senior finance manager and our interim finance director. You met Peggy, who's our finance, senior finance manager, our finance manager. She's got long-term institutional knowledge here, but clearly she's not the director. So you don't have the person like the chiefs here or Captain Collins or the assistant city manager that have that higher understanding of the department and how it works. But please send those questions to me related to finance. And then as you have questions, please send those to me in April. Richardson will make sure that Sherry sends her contact out if you don't already have it. And I wish you all a good evening.